You then emigrated to France and to the US, and it was almost 5 years before you made your next feature film, Angry Harvest. But the fact that it was Oscar nominated somehow makes it seem very smooth to start again in exile as a new director. How was it really?
Yeah, it was difficult. It wasn't 5 years, I think. It was three. Yeah, which felt like the lifetime to me, but it was only 3 years. So it was relatively. I was lucky. Yeah, a lot of people helped me. Baida helped me a lot. Some producers of me, some people, some journalists. So. Angry Harvest was very low budget, very small film, did in very difficult conditions, but it had something, I think, powerful, and it made a small career and had this Oscar nomination. It was kind of the miracle, and it opened for me the possibilities to do next and next and next film. So.
By then you had been making films then in Poland.
Please speak louder.
Oh, sorry. You made Polish films, you made European co-productions, and then American films. Can you talk a bit about, compare the experience of working in the Hollywood machinery, the Polish socialism and European co-productions?
So I told you already that the Polish communist cinema was the nicest one. And it was also because we've been the group of very solidary friends, and also the audience was fantastic. It's not now anymore, unfortunately, because the people became very, very grabbed by the consumerism. But then the people was very receptive. We did very sad and very boring movies, and the distribution didn't use any kind of advertising, nothing. It just was thrown to the cinema, and sometimes the people even didn't know that it's in the cinema, but somehow they knew. And this very boring and sad critical movies had the audience of 1 million or something. So it's incredible. And you did one okay movie and you became like national artist. So it was very flattering. And after it was always the struggle. It was also always fighting and always struggling and trying to pass what you think is good through the machinery of stupidity and greed. And sometimes it, of course, very good people, also good producers cannot help that everything is shitty. But very much it was depending on some kind of taste or expectations or fear of somebody. So I never, that paradox, I never felt so free like when I wasn't free.
You mean when you had something to work about against or for?
Well, sometimes it's easier to be free in prison than to be free in real life, right? Of course, everything is, in Czechoslovakia, for example, in 70s, the freedom of this kind was impossible, so everything is relative. Anyway, yeah, France was really good place to make the movies, but in some way my movies wasn't totally compatible with the French critics and French audience. And Americans welcomed me with such enthusiasm that I decided to go there and was doing for like 10 years on the American movies.
But still, I have a quote from you about Colombia after To Kill a Priest. They decide everything and give you the choice of working with Julia Roberts or Julia Roberts.
Well, it was. I remember, how shocking it was for me to come for some weeks first time to Los Angeles, and I was living in the very beautiful villa in Pacific Palisades, close to the ocean, and they had this huge, for this time, huge TV, and on the TV it was like 140, channels. And I remember the story from communist Poland. It was in 77, 78. It was 2 channels only in communist Poland, channel 1 and channel 2. And on channel 1 was American series which was shown, the Poor and Rich and Poor, which was extremely popular. Everybody was watching it. So one day the Marxist sociologist appeared in this television and he said that they have a lot of the complaints from the audience, because it happens quite often that on channel 1 is this series, which is so popular and everybody wants to watch. And on Channel 2 is something which is also attractive, like for example, football match. And the people feel this like discomfort of the, of the choice, and they think that it's not right. That the better will be to give to the people the total alternative. And total alternative was that on the Channel 1 will be the American series Poor and Rich, and on the Channel 2 will be also American series Rich and Poor. and when I came to LA, I started to watch, to change the channels, and I think that it's like 140 channels, but it's like this total alternative. It means on channel 1, 2, 3, 5, 100 is exactly the same shit, you know. So, so I thought that it's, you know, in some way the richness is not always the best, but actually, I was surprised how American television changed by itself. It means suddenly emerged something like HBO, and after Showtime and after ACM, and they started to do really interesting stuff also on the open channels, and they did it by themselves. It means it wasn't that like the people started like to write the letters, you know, to do something different. No, they just thought in some point that it came to the wall, and that we have to come with something more courageous and more innovative and more, you know. And actually today I think that American television, in terms of the movie production and series production, is the best in the world. So I also seen this, you know, this kind of the vitality of American culture, which is very popular, but in the same time it's alive. It's, you know, it's renovating itself. When it comes to the crisis, after a while, you know, somebody comes and shakes it. So I like Americans in some way for that.
You have, just like many other very talented American directors or excel directors in America who can't work in the Hollywood machinery, gone to the TV industry, just as you mentioned. And you have worked on the series, David Simmons series, The Wire and Tremmy, which Tremmy was screened or is screened in Sweden, Swedish television, I'm not sure. HBO this spring. And you told me over lunch that it's a very vital. Talk a bit about that work, how you come about to make
well, it means you have a big choice of things. You have the things which are totally commercial, and at the same time very, you know, vital and very, you know, very well made and very new in some way in this storytelling, in the choice of the characters, in the choice of the, you know, of the narratives and visuals also. And you have also the series which are, to me, like the great novels of 19th century. It means they try to capture the society in the more epical way than, you know, the cinema or the literature today can do. So it's a bit like, you know, it's The Wire, for example, which was 5 seasons. To me, it's something like the great American novel. You know, I don't see such a complexity of the object shown in another medium, narrative medium. Or Sopranos in more popular way. It's like, you know, it's like Hugo or something, or at least Zola. So it's quite exciting, and you have artistically, you have in some way more freedom. It means the casting can be much more, you know, free. They are discovering new actors. It's a lot of fantastic actors. I don't know if you watched, for example, the series Mad Men. The main character is the guy who's like 45 or something. And I never seen him before, and he's an extremely charismatic leading man. So this richness of the American acting is amazing, and the cinema dried down also because they are using always the same 20 people, and the television opens it to, you know, to the rich pool of talents. So it's really good, and yeah, a lot of my friends and colleagues are working for television. Directing and producing, as for Caesar recently, by the ladies and many others.
What struck me when I've been sitting for a couple of weeks now watching your films. And
We don't hear you. We don't
sorry, I've been sitting a couple of weeks now and watching all your old films mainly.
It's why he speaks so, you know, long. Suck his energy.
Well, especially the films from the 70s, and they concern, in a lot of ways, they concern in people's everyday lives, you still find a way to sort of comment on politics, like in A Woman Alone, your last Polish film. And in the same way, a series like The Wire is mixing big politics with people's everyday lives.
Mhm.
I mean, you said it was paradoxical over lunch today.
Yeah, you know, it means I always was attracted to some kind of the social cinema, the cinema which shows ordinary people and the ordinary life. And you know, the best American series are giving this possibility, and not in the way like, you know, for example, Polish television, I think, and European television in general, it's really quite flat, it's quite stupid. And Polish television is showing like telenovelas, it's showing like really very like flat reality of the people life, and it's people love it and watch it so good, but you know, it's quite, I think, quite depressing to me. And Americans are much more courageous and deep in the research of, you know, of interesting subjects. And so yeah, it's what I like now. The best is to try to do like small budget personal European films. I did recently one, and to do the interesting TV in States. It's my strategy for the last 3 years.